We are going to be talking about that bad boy right there today. That is the Rise Armament Rave 140. Now, Rise Armament has had the 140 series out for some time now with the 140 SST, which we've got another build over there in the safe, and that thing is performing absolutely as expected. So the Rave is the next kind of generation of that. It's machined a little bit differently, and it does come with those anti-walk pins or anti-walk screws, which is definitely nice because it keeps that thing in there, being that it is just the drop-in design. Now the 140 is their kind of entry-level, more budget-minded trigger setup for your dirty, nasty black rifle right here. But that doesn't mean that it skimps on the performance. Now when it comes down to going down the road of those aftermarket triggers, whether it is in your rifle or your pistol, it's really tough to go down that road and make a U-turn and come back. And I don't say that because you can't deal with a factory trigger, but the fact of the matter is what an aftermarket trigger system usually gives you is just leaps and bounds beyond what like a mil-spec trigger or a factory pistol trigger is really going to give you, unless it's some kind of souped up race gun from the factory. And it generally only takes once. Once you get your dirty little fingers on one of these out there on the range, give this thing a look. See that right there? Woo, brakes. It's just solid. And once you try one, like I said, you just can't go back. You want to keep just putting more of these in the different builds you have. And like I said, that goes both for pistols and for rifles. At least that's what my experience has been. If that's been your experience as well, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Now, of course, the question always comes out, is it worth the cost? And we are definitely going to talk about that because like I said, this is the entry-level trigger that they have, and they have ones that go well up to over the $200 mark. And then if you get into some other brands like Geisley and stuff like that, you go well over $250 on some of the cool stuff that they have. So to try and help you guys figure out if this is gonna be something that you are interested in, we're gonna take a really good up close look at this, talk about what it comes with, of course, show it to you up close, both the take up, the pull, the brake, and then that reset on there. And of course the pull weight, because everybody wants to know the pull weight, right? Is it gonna match the little number on the box? Which I can pretty much tell you if I still had the box, it matches the number on the box, so spoiler alert, it's as light as they say it is, depending on where you pull the trigger on that trigger shoe, because the higher you're up, and I'll go over this up close, the higher you up on the trigger or the lower you are, it makes a huge determination on how much weight it actually takes to make that trigger break. You know, think about a teeter-totter, you know, think about leverage, all those things that we learned when we were like 8. All of that comes into play with an aftermarket trigger. But before we get into this, I want to give a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. You make a lot of this stuff happen for the channel, and I can never truly thank you guys enough, even though I do all the time when I'm posting stuff on Patreon. For everybody else that's ever left a comment, watch, or a thumbs up or anything like that, a huge thank you to you as well. All of that stuff really does help the channel grow. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel, turn that little bell notification icon on down there, and definitely leave me a comment down below on what your favorite aftermarket trigger is for your rifle or even for your pistol, because I do a lot of those too. Started with that Patreon, that link is down below, and of course anything that's down below that's got links, a lot of those are affiliate links, and it really does help the channel out as well. We're gonna go ahead and be about it and get into this trigger and show you guys what it is all about right now. Yeah, buddy, we're gonna go ahead and get into this Rise Rave 140. Let's talk about what we get with this thing real quick before we go on to taking a look at the housing. You're going to get the anti-walk pins right here. You're going to get a couple of Allen head wrenches, which we'll take a look at in a second when I bring the box in. And then of course you're going to get the trigger group. So as you'll look down in there, you can see it is the entire trigger housing. It's not like the regular mil-spec parts kits where it's all the different parts. Simple drop in and you put your Allen head anti-walk pins in there that thread from both sides, tighten them up, little dab of Vibratite or Loctite, whichever you prefer, and it's going to work just fine. So I'll bring out the box real quick. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get your 2 little Allen heads, your trigger, and it's going to have the anti-walk pins down in there. Rise, obviously 140, and this one is going to have a 3.5 pound single stage pull according to everybody at Rise. We'll do some pulls here in a second, but let's go ahead and take a quick look at this trigger and how it breaks. Take a good look at the shoe. So the one thing that I did notice is not really chamfered on the front when you get your finger in here, but it's chamfered on the back side, okay? Right? You see that right there? Get the best light I can for you. You got a good chamfer on the back side back in here, but no chamfer on the front where you actually reach your finger in. So come on, Rise. You could have put that chamfer on both sides. And I know it's because they had to meet the angles of where the trigger comes out right up in there. But still, if you're chamfering that side, just chamfer the front. Makes it a little nicer, but still awesome setup. So you're going to see, let this up, give you one more good look down in there at that actual trigger housing group. And you used to have the kind of little pressure set screws in there that you would tighten up once you got the trigger in there. So you could use the factory pins. They've gone away from that and just started to give you the anti-walk pins. So that's a little bit of a difference between some of the stuff that Rise offered and this new version. Let's go ahead. Let me stage up my finger to get smacked right here. And we are going to show off kind of this trigger. So it's dead nuts right there when it's on safe. There is no creep on that trigger at all. Let's go ahead and give you a good view of how this thing is going to break. I'm actually going to move my pinky here so it focuses better on the trigger for you guys. So right here, we're going to do take up there, which there is none. It just breaks. That's very solid. So all the way pulled. Okay, go ahead and reset that trigger down. And there's your reset. So again, we'll go ahead and break that trigger loose. Right there. Goes all the way. And there's your take up. So that is solid. So much better than the mil-spec stuff. Go ahead and bring in the trigger gauge. Do the same thing. I'm not going to put it back together to test it, just because that is a total pain in the butt with how big this thing is on this overhead rig. So we'll use it right here the way that it is. Same gauge I always use here. And we will see what she's pulling out. Now, okay, you guys need to understand something. Leverage. Let's talk about leverage. So where you place your finger, okay, on this trigger is going to determine how it feels and how much weight it takes. The higher up you are with your finger, the heavier it's going to be, okay? The lower you are, the lower the weight is going to be. Even on my pistols, I put my finger as low as possible because it's a fulcrum, okay? That's how it works. You're trying to get the best leverage you can. I had somebody say in one of my videos that, oh, you're pulling too low on the chute. Well, no, that's where I put my finger because I want to maximize leverage. It's like a 5th grade thing you learned in science. Come on. So just so you guys understand, that's why I pull where I do. Let's go ahead and do our pulls. And I'm going to pull right about there because that's where I try to put my finger. Okay. So that broke loose right there. Dead nuts, 3.5 pounds. We're going to do 3 pulls unless I gooner one up, and then we will do 4. Okay. Again, we are right there at that same 3.5. I mean, maybe a human hair over, but unmeasurably. So 3.5 has been the standard. Okay. And there we are again, another solid pull at right on, tiny bit under actually 3.5. This back side is the edge that you're actually looking at for measurement. So 3.5 pound pull, that is absolutely solid. Now someone did mention once they saw that the hammer was half back like that. That's just a secondary catch for the actual trigger. Should you have a dead set, it goes forward, it'll get locked half back. That's how they've designed it, but it's fully functional. If you happen to notice that, that is completely normal. That's how it has been designed. Let's go ahead and talk about how this thing feels, how it runs on the range, any issues I may have had, and the overall price of this, because it's coming in for a pretty solid bargain. There's just nothing like a flatty out there on the range. Let's talk about the feel of this thing. And I'm talking about the actual tactile feel on your finger. So as you saw up close, there is a little bit of a hard edge right there on that trigger shoe. Now, being that this is their kind of entry level model, I'm not really bothered by that. It's not really chamfered off like some of the more higher end ones are. But that flat face and the kind of look of it is still what I was expecting when it comes in at that price point. Now, talking about that price point, $129. So let's just call it $130. I like even numbers, rounded up. You probably like the same. So it's coming in at that $130 mark. And I'm gonna say for a true drop-in design with those anti-walk pins and the performance out there on the range, you're getting what you're paying for. Now, as far as the function of it, you guys saw how light it was. You saw that take up, that reset, and just overall up close to performance of that. Now, that definitely translates to speed out on the range. But speaking about that range, let's talk about problems if I had any. Now, with the trigger system, I did not have any problems, and I haven't had any problems with my other Rise 140 SST either. Now, talking about that, I've been mostly putting steel ammo through this thing for the past, I want to say 4 or 5 range trips, because steel is what I've got left at this point to play with, besides some of my nicer ammo that I just don't want to use right now and all of the craziness that's going on with ammo. But I wanted to talk about another issue that kind of came to light with that. So you'll notice that it's on my Springfield Saint. So this goes into having a test group of 1. Now, reviewing these parts and doing all this stuff, generally you're only going to have 1 piece at a time, 1 gun, 1 trigger, whatever. Sometimes you may have 2, but that leads you down the road of having to either solely believe one person or needing to watch or figure out or read multiple different people's reviews or articles or something, because different people can have different experiences. Like I said, this thing has been chewing through steel ammo for the past month or so, the past 4 or 5 trips at least that I've taken this thing out, and I have not had a single hiccup with the rifle or that trigger. Now, Honest Outlaw did a review on this same setup, and he could not get that thing to run to save his life, and I'm pretty sure he sent it back in to get work done on it. And he was using good quality, solid, I think, Federal ammunition. But that just goes to show you that having a test group of 1 like this trigger, I only get the option to shoot 1, and generally it works out. But make sure you are getting multiple different viewpoints and multiple different kind of tests from different people, whether you trust them or whether it's somebody you don't know yet, just to get a different batch of ideas, because one person may have a different way of looking at things, and one person may discover an issue that the other person may not. Now, I think you should check that video out if you're looking at the Springfield Saint rifle. But just so you know, like I said, this thing has been chewing through everything that I have thrown at it. So for $130 cash money American, if you are looking for an aftermarket trigger and you don't want to go that $200+ mark, I think the Rave 140 is definitely one to look into. Like I said, I've got the other 140 SST. It's been solid. I still use it all the time. In fact, it is in one of my work rigs. So it is a solid gun, a solid setup, and a solid trigger to use in any mil-spec basic lower. Now, if you want to get into something more higher end, Rise Armament does have those as well. I have, I think, a 434 video up as well. And I think they make the 535, I think, is the number. Either way, if you guys have experience with those, let everybody else know down in the comments. And that's what I've got for you all today. I hope you liked learning about that Rave 140. If you're interested in getting set up for that Patreon, that link will be down below. You can sign up over there. And of course, all of the companies down there as well that have been supporters of the channel, from Blackout Coffee, Shall Not Comply Clothing, USCCA, or any of those other links, those are affiliate links, and they really do help keep everything around here going, between the camera gear and the lights and everything else that's going on. So you guys get out there and have some fun. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. I will see you guys on the next one.